Is there a problem that you would benefit from somebody's help, but you refuse to accept it? I was recently inspired by this story of this little girl and a wood splinter in her hand. Her and her family had come here to the property. They were purchasing some things that we are selling. And I was helping the adults. We were digging things out. We were getting them loaded up onto their vehicle. And the kids, I could notice, were getting a little antsy. So I decided to go hang out with the kids and play around with them. And I was telling them stories, and I was showing this night sky app because it was getting pretty dark. And this app on my phone shows all the stars and the constellations. And the kids were just blown away by how my phone knew what direction I was facing and how that star is Mars and this one is the Little Dipper. And they were blown away by, even if you had a house in the way, you could still see the stars on the other side. And they were just amazed. And it was fun to connect with these very young'uns. They were 4 and 5 years old, sweet little kids. And at one point, the little girl, 4 years old, she gets a splinter in the fleshy part of her hand right there by her thumb. And when she gets the splinter, she ran straight to her mom. And she's in tears and she says, Mommy, help me. And she shows her mom the splinter and her mom goes, oh, well, let me pull that out. And as soon as the mom goes to pull it, she hides her hand behind her back. Now this splinter is poking out a good amount and it's going to be really easy to grab it and pull it. You don't even need tweezers. There's enough. Anyone with a fingernail would be able to pull that thing right out. But as soon as her mom is like, let's just pull it out, she closed her little hand protectively around that splinter and she put it behind her back. And her mom was like, honey, it's okay. Just let me pull the splinter out. And she says, no, I'm scared. Well, it's all right, honey. You know it's going to feel better. Just let me pull it out. It has to come out. And she just kept saying, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. Mom could not get her to accept the removal of the splinter. So I offered to take her inside. By now we had 3 or 4 people around her paying attention to it, and an audience is never good. So I thought with my charm, I could convince this little girl to let me take the splinter out. We walk towards the house. And as we walked, I asked her if she'd ever had a splinter before. And her response was, yeah, I have. And I said, well, what happened? She says, well, we pulled it out and it was fine. It felt better after we pulled it out. And I said, well, do you think that'll happen with this one? And she said, yeah. And I said, great. Well, let's go pull it out. No, I'm scared. Okay. So we get into the house and I pick her up and I set her on the counter in the kitchen. I went and I grabbed my tweezers and I came back out and we were talking. And she would not let me look at the splinter. She wouldn't even bring her hand out from behind her back. She was so adamant that she needed to keep it in there. And we talked about a lot of different things. And I asked her if she was strong. And she said, yeah, I'm strong. And she showed me her muscles. And I said, wow, are you stronger than your fear? And she said, yeah, I am. And I said, okay, so how can we be stronger than your fear and pull this out? She would not relent. It was very terrifying for this poor little girl to have the splinter taken out, even though logically she knew from her previous experience that this splinter would feel better. Her hand would feel better if she would just allow us to pull it out. She knew it, but she was terrified of having it done. She couldn't put it into words. Why are you scared? What's going on? She could not put this into words. All she could say is, I'm scared. And she's crying and she's really upset and she doesn't like the splinter because it hurts, and yet she's scared of us pulling it out and she can't really answer us. So eventually I was like, I'm not going to force this little girl. And I take her back out to her mom and I said, hey, Mom, I can't get the splinter out. I even tried bribery, and here are a couple of Otter Pops. And if she'll let us pull the splinter out, then they can have Otter Pops. She just wouldn't do it. We tried so many ways, from coaxing and just logic and encouragement and bribery, and she wouldn't let us do it. She wouldn't. And by now, like everybody that was there was now around trying to get their chance at helping get this little girl's splinter out of her hand. You know, that moment of pride of, haha, nobody else could do it, but I did, right? And this little girl was and she kept it hidden behind her back. They eventually left the farm and went home, and the little girl still had the splinter in her hand. And we had realized that the mom could very easily take it out while she was sleeping, and she'd be none the wiser. No trauma, everything would be better. So they went home. They got the splinter out and everything's fine. But this story, I sat back and I was so inspired by it and excited about it. I mean, a few things came to me. The first one was the fact that even though there were so many adults there, and like her mom and dad, nobody pushed her. Every time she said, I'm scared, people backed off, and they respected her fears. Instead of forcing her to allow them to yank it out and traumatizing her or upsetting her further, instead of holding her down, every single adult respected her. No, I'm scared. And that was beautiful to me that the adults respected that. And it was also heartbreaking for this little girl. In the same aspect, her determination, her insistence, and her strength was inspiring as well. So, how did this inspire me? What life lessons did I get from it? Let me tell you. Have you ever had an issue that you've taken to someone trusted, and you say, this is my issue, this is what's going on, and you ask them for help, and you say, I need help because I can't do this and I'm scared. And they ask you questions, and they help you see logic, and they help you see it from a different point of view, and yet you stay stubbornly adamant that there is no way to fix it, that it has to stay the way it is, that you have to remain in pain and discomfort for that problem, because even though logically you see a different answer because someone has helped you see it, but you refuse to move forward. You refuse to take a step to a different side. Have there ever been times that you would absolutely benefit from somebody's help in conquering a problem? You know you can't do it yourself. You know you need a little bit of support, and you might even ask for that support, but you still stubbornly insist on doing it yourself. Maybe you need to organize a closet, and there is no way that you can organize it by yourself because you just want to hold on to everything, and yet you know you have to get rid of stuff, and having somebody help you get rid of stuff is going to be way easier than if you sit in the closet by yourself, but you stubbornly refuse to have somebody come and help you clean out that closet and organize it and make it what it needs to be so that you can more easily get what you need to get. Have you done it? Is there a problem that you would benefit from somebody's help, but you refuse to accept it? This adorable little girl brought this sliver to light. She showed everyone, and then she immediately hid it. Have you ever had an issue come to light and you think, I need to deal with that, but you really don't want to deal with it, so you would rather put it back in the attic? You would rather hide that. You would rather put it back under the bed, dust it under the rug, whatever it is, so that you really don't have to deal with whatever it was. Maybe it's childhood trauma. Maybe it's a bad relationship. Maybe it's some issue at work. Have you ever had an issue come to light, and you're very aware of it? And you know that you would feel better if you would face it and heal it and work through it. But instead, you would rather hide it so that you don't have to deal with it because it's ugly and icky. I loved the thoughts that came to my mind as far as this little splinter, these little life lessons. I think we've all done it at some point. Bring a problem to light and then choose to hide it again. The beautiful lesson in this whole experience was the fact that once you bring something to light, if you choose to face it, if you choose to pull that splinter out, you will feel so much better. Whether that is asking someone for help to conquer an issue or finding the strength and the ability to pull the splinter out on your own. You have the knowledge, the confidence, the ability, the wisdom to move past the challenge as long as you choose to bring it out from the dark, keep it in the light, and move forward. Have a great day.